Minor league baseball. I've been to a minor league baseball game once. It was still fun, just as fun as like going to a Red Sox game, to be honest with you. But there are some things about minor league baseball that I did not know. I didn't realize some of the things that the players were going through. And yes, even they have decided to start a union. Now, before I get into the article, shout out to Eric, because Eric was the one that told me about this. And I just want to put this out here in reference to baseball. You have the major leagues and you have the minor leagues. This is for people, for those of you that are not into this kind of thing, just want to break this down. Obviously, professional baseball players are going to make more, right? Their salary is going to be higher. I didn't expect the minor league players to have a large salary, but I didn't expect them to have poverty salaries either. So they have decided to start a union. And what does this mean for the future of sports in this country? Let's go ahead and get into this. Now, this is from The Nation. Victory. Minor league baseball players are finally unionized. Now, this broke yesterday, and it says, thanks to grassroots organizing, which much of the media is ignoring, minor leaguers will now join the Major League Players Association. You guys might think that this is not a big deal, but this is actually huge. So let's go on. That's an interesting picture there. Let's carry on. Okay, it's a historic day in the annals of both sports and labor history. Minor league baseball players, some of the most precariously positioned workers in this country, have voted to join the Major League Baseball Players Association. For the first time in a 120-year history of minor league baseball, the players are part of a union. Now, I want to pause here for just a second. If you saw the interview that I did with Jesse Ventura, remember he told me even the wrestlers did not have a union. And when they retire, there was no like retirement fund set up per se. Like there's just nothing. So you have to go on to something else. So that's just something to keep in mind. This election is seismic for the lives of the players. Unions make working class jobs better, and minor league baseball players could certainly use a dose of better. Their average salaries can run as low as $10,000 per year for the full season. Let's highlight this. Salaries can run as low as $10,000 per year for the full season. Now, I'll say this again. I do not expect them to make the same type of salary that professional baseball players are making. Don't expect that. But $10,000 a year, those are poverty wages. I don't know anybody that can live off of $10,000 a year without having a second job. They must have another job. I don't know. Don't know. But that's really low. And some people may come in there and say, well, it's just minor league. It's not that important. But does that still mean you should make $10,000 a year? I want you to understand, if you're not familiar with baseball, I want you to understand that the minor league teams, a lot of times, they're still important because these are the farm teams. These are the teams that a lot of times the Major League Baseball teams will recruit players from the farm teams. And I'll give you an example of one that I know very well, and that is one of my favorite baseball players of all time, and that is David Ortiz, also known as whoop, whoop, Big Papi. A lot of people know Big Papi as a former player for the Boston Red Sox, but he didn't start there. He didn't start with the Minnesota Twins either. Big Papi actually started with the farm team in Minnesota. Then from that farm team, he went on to the Minnesota Twins, then came over to the Red Sox. So those farm teams are important. So you have players that have started at those farm teams that went on to become some of the best baseball players of my generation. So you should not count those out. Now let's go back in. And they are left with nothing if they are thrown on the scrap heap for a teenage prospect. These conditions in minor leagues worsen as Major League Baseball secured record-breaking television contracts and profits galore. This overwhelmingly union vote, which will not be challenged by the Major League Baseball owners nor brought to the NLRB, comes after several other victories in the past year that have increased the confidence of the minor league players to push for representation. Now let's talk about television time, because they mentioned this here. Realistically, people tend to pay attention to the teams and the games that are advertised on television and heavily advertised. This is part of the reason why, not the only reason, but part of the reason why not as many people will watch the, what do you call it? The WNBA, the Women's Professional Basketball League. Not as many people will watch that because it doesn't get as much advertising time, right? So not getting that spot, not getting that commercial push can actually hurt you. Let's go back in. Only this year did Major League Baseball agree to provide housing for these players who had been left on their own trying to figure out how they live and find shelter. Also, the league was finally forced in August to settle an 8-year-old federal lawsuit brought by the minor leaguers that alleged widespread violation of minimum wage laws. How does this even happen? How do you not pay someone minimum wage and get away with it? The settlement of $185 million after lawyer fees will be dispersed among 23,000 players. And imagine if you're one of those players that came from another country. There are a lot of baseball players that are recruited from the Dominican Republic. You come from here from the DR. It's your first time in the US. You don't know all the rules. All you know is you've been offered this gig and they're paying you money, and you may think that what they're paying you is correct because you don't know the laws, you don't know the rules. Imagine how they may have exploited those players that they've recruited from other countries. And now we have a union. To understand how this came to pass, one must first disregard the headline from the Associated Press, which reads, "Minor leaguers form union 17 days after organizing began." This fight has been going on a great deal longer than just 17 days. It was spurred by minor league players agitating and organizing against conditions that would be unacceptable in any other occupation. This has included posting pictures on social media of team meals that look like Oliver Twist meets the Fire Festival. Yikes. Oh boy. I can't believe this is even allowed to go on. Bill Fletcher from The Nation is the outgoing chairperson of the board of the Advocates for Minor Leagues, told me this is the result of work going back years, which changed the climate of the country when it came to its perceptions of minor league baseball players. Ultimately, MLBPA stepped up to the plate, no pun intended, and undertook the organizing. But the prior work laid the foundations and systemically isolated Major League Baseball, demonstrating time again that owner greed, let's highlight this, undermines the sport of baseball. I am so very proud of those who have tirelessly worked on this project, people who joined with others across the USA, raising up the struggle around economic and social justice and ultimately unionization. Boom. So you see, guys, it's happening all around us. Whether it's Starbucks, whether it's Amazon, whether it's the railroad workers, and now even sports, all around us. Thanks for putting that article in the chat, Eric. Thanks so much of that. JB Font says capitalism, of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. They should be ashamed of themselves. $10,000 a year. Breaking minimum wage laws. Should have never happened. Rick says next college athletics. Oh, Rick, I should do a whole separate stream about college athletics, about college athletes. Bill Bradley says the MLB Players Association should absorb these players honestly. That's another issue. Another issue. So the article goes on. It's a long article. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I do want to go ahead and say, let's give a big congratulations to the minor league baseball players here. It looks like they're finally going to get a decent wage. Welcome to capitalism. Had no idea this was even going on until Eric sent me this story. Going to go to some of the comments here. JB's in the house. $10K per year is a little less than what some of us on Social Security get. You hear that? Thank you for the super chat, Takwish. MLB does the minor league dirty. Oh, it all came out tonight, huh? Indy Left is in the house. Shout out to Indy. Man, I was going to cover this Sunday night. Sharon Zhang wrote a great piece on this in Truth Out. I'll have to check out her piece as well. But let's give a shout out to those guys. Congratulations. Alice Hamer, love this topic, Sabby. Thank you. Thanks. I know not everyone's into sports, but hey, they organized and they got something done. So we still got to talk about it, right?